With us now is Hebrew University Professor Robbie Sabel for his take on the situation. Professor, thank you for being with me. I want to ask first, sir, your thoughts on the Israeli police conduct so far, where they've been, what they're doing. Are they doing a good job in your eyes?
The Israeli police have a dilemma. There was a serious attempt to throw stones at people, Jews praying in the Western Wall from the Al-Aqsa. They had no choice but to enter the Al-Aqsa compound. However, they're perfectly aware that this is something that incites Arab hatred. And this was their dilemma. Do they take the risk of stones being thrown on Jewish persons praying at the wall? Or do they go into Al-Aqsa, which they did, and they try to withdraw as soon as possible? It's a dilemma. There's no easy answer to this.
I want to ask then about the legal issues at stake here. Perhaps the focal point, one of the focal points certainly, in this round of escalation is the eviction case that's pending for Sheikh Jarrah. I want to ask, even if the letter of the law is clear that perhaps Jews have a right maybe to reclaim this property, is there an issue with the law itself that allows for Jewish reclamation of property from more than 70 years ago, but gives no similar recourse at all to Israeli, Arab, or Palestinian citizens?
Well, there's no doubt that the ownership of the land is Jewish. However, my personal opinion is that people who've lived there for at least 50 years should be given tenancy and allowed to stay there. But it's a legal issue which will have to be solved by the courts. Does
it open a Pandora's box, though? I mean, when the courts start tackling who, more than 70 years later, who has the right to return and have true ownership of contested property, does it open a Pandora's box here?
I don't think so. In other words, the issue of ownership is quite clear. It was Jewish owned. However, the question of tenancy is an issue here. As regards Arabs who had property in Israel, as you know, we've offered to pay compensation. Some, not many, have accepted it. And this is an issue which will have to be settled when we reach final status talks with the Palestinians.
What is your take personally, Professor, on the issue of the flag march route? Maybe not this year, but in general, the fact that many say it's a needless provocation, marching through the streets of the Muslim quarter of the Old City, marching to the Temple Mount. And of course, many others say that this is a proud moment, that the Jews should celebrate the reunification of their city. What do you say, and why?
Again, my personal opinion is that Jews are certainly entitled to march. It's celebrating the Jerusalem Day and fly flags. I don't think this should be done through the Muslim quarter. In other words, anything that can be done to prevent incitement, prevent antagonism should be done. Therefore, I think it would be wiser to allow them. Certainly, they can demonstrate Jerusalem is Israel's capital, but not through the Muslim quarter. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about perhaps the issue of de facto versus de jure annexation here, that maybe annexation may not happen by the letter of the law, but we are hearing from Jerusalem officials, city officials, that they do want these evictions to take place, that they want to add Jewish residents throughout key areas of East Jerusalem, just like there's the issue perhaps of retro legalization of outpost settlements. They want to make sure that there is de facto kind of annexation to prevent a contiguous Palestinian state. This is the key issue here, no?
I think there's two issues here. First is, are Jews allowed to purchase land anywhere in Jerusalem? I think they are. It'll be a serious violation of human rights if you say, no, Jews cannot purchase land. The second issue is, if there are tenants there, do they have right of sitting tenancy, which again is an issue of law. It's true in Israel, it's true in other countries. Somebody who is not an owner, but who's lived in a house for many years would normally have rights to continue tenancy, and if not, to pay compensation if they're willing to leave. So the issue of purchase of land, I think, is perfectly legitimate. Arabs in Jerusalem can purchase land anywhere in Jerusalem. Jews should also be allowed to do it. I don't think, however, we should be evicting people who have been living in a house for many, many years.